Good evening, I'm Adrienne Arsenault. Andrew is away. Tonight, anger in New Brunswick over a cluster of new COVID-19 cases.
The circumstances of this outbreak were completely preventable.
How it happened shows just how fragile a reopening can be.
More nursing staff, more PSWs on the floor.
What Ontario could do right now in its long-term care homes.
All of a sudden, there's other problems that were never really thought of.
Stiff necks, sore backs, welcome to the side effects of working from home. And a presidential shot at social media giants.
Nothing more than a political activism group or political activism.
Donald Trump's move to regulate in the name of free speech. This is The National. For much of the time since the pandemic began, New Brunswick has been a model of getting things right. Well, tonight the province can provide another lesson, showing just how fragile a reopening can be. There is bitter frustration over an outbreak of COVID-19 in that province, linked to just one man, a doctor. The province had been winning this fight with no deaths and all 120 cases resolved. So see how their curve was virtually flat compared to all of Canada? But now, just days after rules were lifted, thousands have lost their new freedoms. Harry Forrestal shows us why.
Water bombers near the city of Campbellton load up to fight a nearby fire. But residents here already feel burned. Virtually COVID-free for weeks, New Brunswick faces a new outbreak, centered right here.
There are 3 new confirmed cases of COVID-19.
Health officials had warned COVID-19 would return. What's shocking is that a doctor caused this outbreak, someone who should have known better.
The circumstances of this outbreak were completely preventable and happened in spite of all of our efforts to keep the virus at bay.
The doctor from the local hospital crossed into neighboring Quebec on personal business. He returned with COVID-19, didn't self-isolate for the required 2 weeks, and instead went straight back to treating patients. At least 150 people may have been exposed.
You know, put away for a while, because that's not right what he did there. Because half of the city is going to be infected with that there.
New Brunswickers have been reveling in their status as a province that beat COVID-19. No contagion haunting nursing home corridors, no deaths. A hard-won victory now put at risk.
Any healthcare professional that, traveled outside the province and if that is the case and did not come back and self-isolated, obviously, it is of great concern and disappointment.
CBC isn't identifying the doctor out of concern for his safety. But Premier Blaine Higgs made clear today there will be consequences.
Information has been passed along to the RCMP to determine exactly what took place and whether charges are warranted.
People here were just beginning to enjoy the lifting of COVID restrictions. Now it's back to family bubbling and closing businesses that had only just reopened. Harry Forrestal, CBC News, Fredericton.
Officials in Newfoundland and Labrador are hoping to avoid a new outbreak themselves as the province deals with its first new COVID case in more than 2 weeks. Health officials say it involves a man who's in his 40s who lives in the province's eastern health region. That includes St. John's. The case is said to be travel-related, but it's not yet clear from where. Contact tracing is now underway. Ontario's premier is promising action in response to Tuesday's scathing military report on horrific conditions at 5 long-term care homes. A full fix will be a monumental task, but what could be done right now to help a system broken long before COVID-19? David Common has a look.
Listen carefully. A care home resident is dying. Her breathing tube may be clogged. Often overwhelmed staff not around.
She died alone, struggling.
Marie Harris was her daughter, and a year ago told CBC Marketplace about the many deficiencies.
There should be legislation that has to have more people to take care of our loved ones. More nursing staff, more PSWs on the floor.
The current government has an enormous task.
But the tasks are clear for Alex Van Kralligen, who served as a lawyer on a recent public inquiry examining long-term care. It, along with workers, academics, and families, point to a need for minimum staffing ratios in nursing homes. That would mean more staff and likely higher pay to attract, retain, and offer better training to people in an industry facing a years-long staffing crisis.
It's made me very sad that we've had to come to this awful moment to make these sorts of changes when people were ringing the bell for so long about the problems in the system.
Then there are the hundreds of older buildings. Many of the beds inside only meet the standards from nearly 50 years ago. It often means multiple residents are crammed into one room, a nightmare for infection control.
We need their support if we want to change the system, a broken system.
Doug Ford came to power on a promise to cut spending. He's now asking Ottawa to foot the enormous repair bill. Long-term care was in crisis long before COVID. The question is what governments and taxpayers will do now to fix it. David Coleman, CBC News, Toronto.
Now, while Ontario and Quebec, for that matter, struggle to get their situations under control, they might take a look at how BC handled things. Ashley Burke looks at its early and decisive actions.
Debbie Cote says her mother deserved better. The 73-year-old died from COVID-19 after a massive outbreak hit her long-term care home.
She could barely breathe. We just worried and worried and worried every day, my sister and I.
What happened there is part of a grim Canadian comparison. Ontario homes have seen 15 times more deaths than those in British Columbia.
That has to do with our government taking very decisive action immediately and having a very coordinated approach.
That approach kicked in shortly after the province reported its first case in a long-term care home in early March.
There have been many, of course, emotional days and difficult days with COVID-19 for a lot of people, but that was a day that I'll never forget.
Health officials quickly took control. They had one organization distribute personal protective equipment to all the homes. They made sure staff were assigned to one facility only, not working at multiple locations. Then they increased the pay.
In other words, if you were choosing between facilities with different rates of pay, the ones with the lower rates of pay would have inevitably had no workers under those circumstances, which didn't make any sense.
Ontario has tried some of this, but the union said it was too slow, including the pay increase.
It has not started flowing in the vast majority of facilities in Ontario.
She's gonna love this tree.
Sadly, it's all too late for Cote's mother. She's now planting a lilac tree to scatter her ashes nearby. She wants to be close after having to stay so far away when her mother needed her most. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Ottawa.
Now, Central Canada is still the epicenter of the Canadian outbreak, and today's numbers prove that once again. Quebec has reported 563 new cases today. That's been relatively consistent over the past few days, while Ontario has reported 383, an uptick after a couple of days below 300. Those two provinces represent the bulk of Canada's nearly 90,000 confirmed cases. Those big numbers are updated every day, but as Jonathan Gatehouse shows us, Ontario is drawing criticism for some extraordinary gaps in its pandemic data that keeps health officials flying blind.
As fears of COVID-19 ease in Ontario, so do the public's precautions. A problem some experts blame on a lack of government information.
I think it's very difficult for the average citizen to still understand why they need to physically distance and isolate themselves.
So I'm going to take your oxygen,
so what's missing?
And your temperature.
Details on things like testing, tracing, PPE availability, and the conditions that help spread the disease.
The province's unwillingness and inability to collect the appropriate data and in turn share it with the public and public health units is hindering our response to COVID-19.
It's not clear whether the government is unwilling or simply unable to be more transparent. Ontario's 34 health units send swabs all over the province for processing. Results could come back via computer, phone, fax, or even Canada Post. Some health regions tell CBC News even they don't know how many tests they have performed, just how many positive results have come back. And of the 7 units with the most cases, only 3 are sharing daily test numbers publicly.
Having data is really important for all aspects of tackling COVID-19. It lets us anticipate problems and plan for them. And if we don't have that information, we don't have an understanding of where our blind spots are.
It's a sharp contrast to provinces like BC and Alberta that post daily regional testing numbers, or Quebec, which reveals local hotspots. And finally, there's New York City, perhaps the hardest hit place in the world, which makes all of its COVID information public. A model of transparency after all the worst fears came true. Jonathan Gatehouse, CBC News, Toronto.
Now, more than 3/4 of Ontario's cases are in the Greater Toronto Area, many of those in Toronto proper. But until yesterday, we didn't know where in the city those cases were being detected. Municipal health authorities unveiled detailed geographic information showing which neighborhoods have been most affected by the virus. There are clear hotspots, and their locations could tell us a great deal about how this virus works and who is most at risk. Thomas Daigle looks at one particular area.
North St. Jamestown, a neighborhood just a short drive from downtown Toronto. It's lined with high-rise apartment buildings and now stricken with more coronavirus cases than other nearby communities.
Very sad because I know we have a lot of homeless people who live around here as well as elderly people.
They should give out masks because some people can't afford to buy it.
The neighborhood has 130 known COVID-19 infections. Compare that to just 32 in the next district over.
They're mixing in hallways, mixing in elevators, mixing on the way out the building, and then mixing at home. So that, and these are basically unavoidable factors.
The population density in nearby Cabbagetown is lower, the average household income higher. Both are factors thought to influence who's at risk. Now, Toronto Public Health will use the data to help groups hardest hit.
It might mean having a mobile testing site available at some of these places, for example.
Or it might mean something like what this group does, handing out supplies to people in need, kits that now include masks to protect against the virus.
A lot of people say, well, we're all in the same boat, and we are not all in the same boat. COVID has attacked disproportionately the more vulnerable among us.
Case in point, all those outbreaks in long-term care facilities. North St. Jamestown is home to this one where the virus struck hard, so that might skew the numbers slightly. Still, there's a need for more answers about why so many around here are falling ill. Thomas Daigle, CBC News, Toronto.
Police in Toronto have released some shocking surveillance video of a brazen shootout that left a 21-year-old man dead on Tuesday. You can see the moment the gunfight begins. In the middle of it all, a 6-year-old boy running scared as the bullets just miss him. Moments later, his mother scrambling to get him to safety.
When individuals decide to come downtown to the largest city in the country and have no care in the world, in killing anyone in their way is beyond comprehension.
DiMaggio Jenkins, a rising rap star known as Houdini, was believed to be targeted. 2 others were shot, but are expected to recover. There are a lot of questions tonight about what happened yesterday in the moments after police were called to a Toronto apartment building and before a woman inside plunged to her death from a balcony. Ellen Morrow with what her family is saying.
The mother and brother heard commotion in the apartment and then heard Regis cry out, "Mom, help, mom, help, mom, help."
A mother's heartbreak, a tragedy that began when she called the police for help.
My daughter ended up dead, so I don't understand.
Regis Korchinski-Paquette had epilepsy and experienced a seizure earlier in the day, says her family, causing her mental health distress and conflict in their apartment. Police were called to help de-escalate. The family says the 29-year-old was alone in the unit with officers when she plunged to her death from a 24th floor balcony. The case has been referred to Ontario's Special Investigations Unit, a police watchdog agency.
This is my sister. She means so much to me. We need to find justice for her.
Toronto's police chief expressed condolences and defended his force.
I support my men and women based on the limited information that I have right now, and I do hope that the public has an opportunity to hear the absolute truth. And I will tell you, I stand for transparency and accountability 100%.
A CBC News investigation 2 years ago found nearly half of Canadians who died in encounters with police since the year 2000 were mentally distressed. Korchinski-Paquette's loved ones believe race was a factor too.
I just don't feel that this would have happened in a different area and with a different race. I woke up this morning saying she shouldn't be dead.
Pastor Roy Dawson says police need to fix broken trust.
She had a smile that lit up her room. She had a heart that was of gold, man. She was such a loving person.
One who leaves behind a family in unimaginable pain. Ellen Morrow, CBC News, Toronto.
There are growing calls for police accountability and charges in Minneapolis. It's been sparked by the death of a black man named George Floyd and video showing his brutal treatment upon arrest. That has led to this. As you can see, tensions high in that city tonight. Buildings on fire. Police and protesters are facing off for a third straight night. The results of last night's violence, utter destruction. And as Paul Hunter shows us, the anger there, the frustration runs so much deeper.
Minneapolis today, with its charred remnants of last night's rioting, the fury evident at every corner. Overnight, demonstrators had rampaged. The violence, the anger, and the flames, at times well out of control, continued until dawn. And throughout, looting was equally rampant. It's all become soberingly familiar in this country, so too the action that sparked it.
320, we're code 4.
This body cam video and separately this security video show some of the last few minutes of George Floyd's life. Stopped on suspicion of passing counterfeit money, what seems a straightforward arrest somehow devolves into this.
I can't breathe. Please, the name of it.
Excruciating to watch, it's Floyd now on the ground begging for his life, handcuffed, gasping for air, police officers knee on his neck while others do nothing.
I'm never going to get my brother back.
Floyd's brother, Philanese, said today he's tired of seeing black men die.
They executed my brother in broad daylight.
The officers involved have all been fired. The city's mayor wants them charged as the frustration continues.
The reason why you see the anger in Minneapolis is because this is not the first time.
Civil rights leader Al Sharpton today emphasized the rioting in Minneapolis isn't the issue.
The violence I'm addressing is how a man could hold a man down with a knee on his neck for 9 minutes. That's when the violence started.
Seeking answers and justice in a country grappling yet again with its seemingly forever racial divide. Paul Hunter, CBC News, Washington.
Donald Trump has retaliated against Twitter days after it flagged one of his tweets with a fact check. He has imposed an executive order that threatens the legal protections under which social media companies operate. Well, tonight, Twitter is calling it reactionary and politicized. Katie Simpson has the details.
We're here today to defend free speech from one of the gravest dangers it has faced in American history, frankly.
The grave danger the U.S. president sees is an anti-conservative bias on social media platforms like Twitter and Facebook. And it's why today's executive order is aimed at making them liable for how they regulate content and what users post.
What they choose to fact check and what they choose to ignore or even promote is nothing more than a political activism group or political activism.
Trump is frustrated with Twitter in particular after the platform slapped a fact check this week on his misleading tweets about voter fraud. And that's why he wants these tech giants to face the same scrutiny as traditional publishers.
When Twitter and other companies act in a way where they're labeling tweets or labeling content, that they're acting in an editorial manner that makes them publishers, and so they lose that immunity.
The order will likely be challenged in court, and experts question whether the president has the authority to make this change, though early reaction is mixed.
I just believe strongly that that Facebook shouldn't be the arbiter of truth of everything that people say online.
Trump's opponents say this is a deflection tactic from the 100,000 Americans dead by COVID and 40 million more out of work.
But what the president is doing is silly. It's silly. But let's say this. It's a distraction.
This issue is expected to become even more fraught as the U.S. inches closer to Election Day. With coronavirus putting traditional campaigning on hold, the use of digital space has never been more important. Katie Simpson, CBC News, Washington.
So now let's circle back to COVID-19 and a global tour of the pandemic. The total number of cases edged closer to 6 million. Nearly 360,000 lives have been lost. The U.S. has been the worst hit. Over 101,000 have died there. That's followed by the U.K. with 37,000 deaths. Italy has lost 33,000. At its peak, almost 1,000 people a day were dying there, but now it's fewer than 100 a day. And in less than a week, the country will reopen its national borders and allow free travel. As Megan Williams shows us, that has tensions running high.
Life returns to the central piazza in Brescia 2 months ago at the epicenter of Italy's coronavirus outbreak. But reminders that Italy is not out of the woods yet still ring through the air. One of the first people to be taken to this hospital in Brescia from his home nearby was Michele Vitiello. He touches the reminder of his 2 weeks on a ventilator. But even he says Italy needs to risk relaunching its economy.
When the coronavirus exploded in Italy in late February, it exploded in northern Italy, cities like Bergamo and here in Brescia, the industrial heartland of Italy, an area that produces everything from trucks, car parts, and weapons to apparel, shoes, beer, and wine.
Una pacca sulla spalla. Un saluto più caloroso.
And it's the outdoor consumption of beer and wine by tight clusters of young people that led to the release of this ad, warning one small slip and the whole country could grind to a halt.
If we don't take the appropriate precautions, then we are going back to square one.
But this COVID data expert says the virus is spreading in places most people don't expect.
Many of us still think that most of it are within families or within, places for old people. The truth is, most of it during February and March have taken place at places of work that did not close down, factories especially.
And with Italy returning to work, testing is crucial. He says without aggressive, widespread testing and tracking, the life that has returned to Italy's streets and piazzas could once again disappear. Megan Williams, CBC News, Brescia.
On the heels of fresh criticism from the Chinese government, Justin Trudeau has commented on yesterday's court ruling against Meng Wanzhou.
We have an independent judicial system that has rendered a judgment without any political interference. There are a number of further legal steps available to Ms. Meng that she will undoubtedly avail herself of.
After the ruling against the Huawei CFO, China's foreign ministry warned its relationship with Ottawa could face what it calls continuous harm. If your dining room has turned into your office, you might be familiar with work from home syndrome.
You're working at your kitchen table and it's putting the body into awkward, prolonged positions.
Up next, tips for staying injury-free. Rosie and the crew take on the political response to those damning military reports about long-term care homes. Should Ottawa step in? And keeping people smiling with a joke hotline. The Calgary High School project that's earned some serious celebrity attention. We're back in 2. Whether it is feline interference or canine supervision, our four-legged friends are certainly enjoying this whole work from home thing. And while they are certainly a benefit of working at the dining room table, there are some drawbacks too. So many of us fled our offices without any idea just how long we'd be doing this for. We are still making do with makeshift workspaces. And as Bonnie Allen shows us, our bodies are starting to pay the price.
Ryan Halata has built 2 home offices in his Regina basement, one for himself and his kids, the other for his wife.
She even tried using an ironing board as a stand-up desk, but it wasn't very stable.
So he jury-rigged a desk using an old door, a bookshelf, and a laundry hamper.
The main thing was just to make something that was going to be comfortable so that I didn't, end up, hunching over something.
But not everyone has those carpentry skills or ergonomic chairs. In March, millions of Canadians were forced to leave their properly engineered workstations behind as they rushed home to makeshift offices. Now some need medical treatment. Chiropractor Doug Pattison is back at his clinic and busy.
We did the best we could to get people out of the workplace to keep them safe from COVID, but now all of a sudden there's other problems that were never really thought of that are emerging.
He says he's already treated several patients for chronic strain in their neck, back, and shoulders. Pattison calls it work-from-home syndrome.
You're working at your kitchen table, or you're the island, or sitting on the couch, and it's putting the body into awkward, prolonged positions.
So I'm not reaching forward, or I'm not having to reach down.
Occupational therapist Ian Lewis says poor ergonomics at home will mean discomfort for some, but for others, a work-related injury.
If it happened at work and you feel it's part of a work-related injury, then you can file a claim with WCB.
I think it's also a very strong reminder for employers that there is a requirement to provide safe workspaces.
There's a sticky spot right there.
Doug Pattison says employees should take breaks, stretch, and ask their companies for proper equipment. But he expects to see more patients walk in his door feeling the pain. Bonnie Allen, CBC News, Regina.
Still ahead, Andrew takes a look at what to expect as things start to reopen. Tonight, buying and selling homes. Plus, your virus questions, including how often should you clean your glasses? Welcome back. This pandemic has made doing just about everything harder, but so much of it has to happen anyway. So industry by industry, people are adapting. Andrew takes us through the big changes in real estate.
Whether you're buying or selling, the real estate game has changed since COVID-19. So what should you expect? Well, one of the most notable things is that open houses are largely a thing of the past. Makes sense. You don't want strangers congregating, and what seller would want to host that gathering? So when you look at a listing, you may actually find live online open houses at a scheduled time.
So are you ready for a FaceTime tour? Here is the living room.
Now you can still potentially arrange for a private showing, but just be prepared to answer a few questions to reassure the seller.
Some of the forms offered by brokerages go into your contact history. So have you had any contact with somebody with COVID-19? Do you have a fever? Do you have any symptoms? Had you traveled recently?
What's more, when you're inside, you may be required to wear a mask, use hand sanitizer, and also promise not to touch anything. As a seller, you'll also have some new considerations. For starters, whether you want to allow private showings at all. That's your choice. Just keep in mind that if you have a condo board, they may have a say in the matter. But otherwise, if you invite someone in, just be sure to wipe down all of the high-touch surfaces, and the advice is, for everyone's sake, to make your home as touchless as possible.
The homeowner should leave all the lights on. They should open up all of the doors, including things like the electrical panel and the cupboards, so that people can see the plumbing and the electrical, go through the property easily without having to interact with those surfaces.
And either way, you may be asked to keep any in-person dealings short, 10 to 15 minutes. And if you have a real estate agent, have a clear, upfront conversation with them about what other things might be different in a COVID-19 world, because it is most certainly not business as usual.
With all the changes, all the new concerns, come a whole lot of questions from you. So every night, we're putting them to doctors. Earlier, I spoke with infectious disease specialist, Dr. Lenora Saxinger. So hi there, Dr. Saxinger. Let's get right to the very first question. If you have recovered from COVID, can you stop social distancing?
That's a logical question. Theoretically, we think you should be potentially immune, at least for a period of time, but I think there's some benefit to obeying the rules and being seen to be obeying the rules, because if you're out in public and there are people not distancing, it could be upsetting to others. And so until we have an official recommendation, I would say we should continue to observe social distancing in case you're not immune, and also to be a good example.
Okay, this next one's kind of interesting. What happens if a pregnant woman contracts COVID?
Yeah, that's an interesting thing as well. We're coming up on 6 million cases worldwide, and there has not been a strong signal of a particular worse disease or pregnancy outcome issues so far. So if there is an effect, it's probably not really large. I did see one study of 400 pregnant women with an ICU admission rate of around 10% and a death rate of 1%, and that's not too different than we'd expect. We also haven't seen any strong signal of problems with the developing baby, which is reassuring, but we do have to watch out for problems like premature labor, which could be a consequence of illness in pregnancy.
Okay, here's one that's pretty practical. We're reminded often on the proper use, removal, and cleaning of our non-medical masks. However, there's never a mention of our glasses. Should there be a similar protocol?
That's interesting. I think the difference to me is that a mask is actually filtering air and is a place where we think virus could theoretically collect, actually on both the inner and outer surface, whereas your glasses are just moving through the world with you. Because they are facing the world, I would say that you should consider cleaning your glasses more often and washing your hands after touching them. But I don't think they have the same risk of masks, of basically being a virus catcher or virus concentrator.
Okay, we have time very briefly for one more. We're aware of how sensitive a dog can smell. Some have been trained to sense cancer. Will we see a time when they may be trained to detect coronavirus?
That's actually a really interesting question. I did just see something that there are some studies that they're trying to do with a cohort of dogs that have been trained to sniff the urine of COVID patients and identify them. And if they can verify the training of the dogs, they're going to move on to start testing patient samples that way. But in all of the dog studies, it's clear that they can sense, metabolic or other derangements very, very sensitively, but the standardization between dogs has always been a problem. So I will also watch that with interest.
That sounds like a good story. Thank you very, very much, Dr. Saxinger.
My pleasure. Thank you.
We are asking your questions as often as possible, so send us the questions you have. Message us directly on Instagram at CBC The National, or send us an email at covid@cbc.ca. Still ahead on The National, a couple that overcame a long-distance relationship are now facing a new, incredibly rare obstacle, the same cancer diagnosis.
We have each other and we understand each other a lot more now than we did before.
Their story ahead. But first, it's Thursday, so Rosie and the At Issue crew are here.
Adrian, tonight we're going to look at the response to those military reports into long-term care homes in Ontario and in Quebec. From calls to action to political fixes, what does the way forward look like? That's next with Andrew, Chantal, and Althea.
There are things in there that are extremely troubling, and we need to take action.
Mr. Trudeau, if you really want to help us in long-term care facilities, please increase your transfer in help to all provinces.
No province can do it alone. We need their support if we want to change the system, a broken system.
Calls for action from all levels of government this week after two back-to-back reports from the military exposed the situation in some long-term care homes in Ontario and in Quebec, a situation obviously only made worse by the COVID-19 crisis. So what kind of political response is needed to fix this problem? It's Thursday, and I'm here with At Issue, Chantal Hébert, Andrew Coyne, and Althea Raj. Good to see everybody. Althea, good that you're back this week. We appreciate it. Technical problems have been surmounted. Obviously, this isn't the first time that we have heard about problems in long-term care, but it seems because of the pandemic, because perhaps it's the military that made these observations, political leaders are under some pressure. And I wonder whether this will change in a real way because of what we have seen and heard this week. You know what, I'll start with Althea because she didn't get a chance last week, Althea.
Well, I think a few things happened. One, there was outside accountability. So there was pressure for the federal government to say something and do something, and it fit in a narrative that Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister, had been talking about for weeks, frankly. And he has already said he's ready to do something about this. And so the fact that it emerged through the military, I think, is not that surprising. This speaks to long-standing problems that everybody was aware of, but I think the fact that you have a vulnerable population who mostly cannot speak up for themselves, I'm thinking about people, many of whom have dementia in long-term care homes, and workers who themselves feel vulnerable. A lot of new immigrants are working, women, sometimes sole providers in their family, are working in these homes, precarious jobs. They don't pay much. They are usually part-time jobs because it's too expensive to have full-time employment. You had, like, it wasn't that we needed another report. It was that this one came with alarm bells, and the fact that there are 4,000 people that have died is really hard to ignore.
It came with alarm bells, Andrew, but it also came with a conversation around jurisdiction, which I understand for sure, but I wonder whether we can surmount the question of jurisdiction to get to actual solutions.
Probably not. We are in the pressure cooker of an immediate crisis right now with a lot of political heat. And while we absolutely need to fix this problem, problems of this nature are not going to be fixed overnight. So I would beware of quick solutions or instant analyses of this. And I would beware of one level of government deciding they're just going to do this on their own, particularly if it's the federal. They will run into resistance from the provinces. And as I say, not always, I mean, I'm one who has bashed the provinces on occasion in the past. But this is the kind of thing that is, by its nature, hard to run out of Ottawa. I can't imagine the feds would be too interested in micromanaging it, but they are going to have to get the provinces on board, and that will have to involve those long, tedious discussions that sometimes we yawn at.
Yeah, it doesn't seem as though the federal government wants to take it over. Even the conversation around the Canada Health Act, it doesn't sound to me, Chantal, like Ottawa is very inclined to go down that road.
No. For one, extremely difficult or resistance from the provinces. The fact is, Andrew is right, the provinces run the healthcare system, and it's not just a jurisdictional issue. They have the expertise to do so. So up to a point, if you want to improve the system, if you want, for instance, to make long-term care part of the umbrella of public health care, you need provinces to buy in, because that would be part of an integrated system, and they run the system. There is no way that the federal government can do this or arbitrarily bring it under the umbrella of the Medicare system. But the other issue for the federal government, if it wants to be a force for reform in this, is at some point the Trudeau government is going to have to make a choice. Its big healthcare social policy initiative was supposed to be pharmacare. At this point, I'm not sure that public opinion or need is there rather than in long-term care. Yeah. And federal money is only going to have to be on the table to buy reforms. I don't believe you can move ahead with 4 or 5 reforms at the same time in the fiscal context that will be the fiscal context of the post-pandemic era.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point, Althea. Does it mean that the federal government has to, shift some of its own priorities around where it was going to focus on healthcare?
I agree. I think it's possible that national pharmacare kind of gets put on the back burner while the government looks at strengthening the welfare system, the social safety system, in different ways. I think the conversation over jurisdictional issues kind of has monopolized, I would say, like the media's questioning at press conferences. But instead of asking how he's going to get the provinces to agree, we, the media, have not really asked him how much money he's willing to put forward to fix the problem. And that's probably what we should be focusing on, because the provinces seem ready to move as long as Ottawa is ready to fork over the cash.
Mm-hmm. It could, I mean, they might be waiting to say, here's what we need, so that Ottawa doesn't over-offer in terms of what they have in mind. But what kind of beyond the funding point of it, Andrew, what is the leadership play that Ottawa could have in this conversation? Or is that it?
I think it is mostly funding, and I think we want to be aware of this for a couple reasons. One is that we've been mentioning that they already have enormous burdens that they're taking on already, in many cases to bail out the provinces. Most of those, a lot of those, the programs that they've enacted are short-term things they can unwind once the crisis is passed. This is a more permanent thing. So if you're going to undertake that kind of of additional expense, then you got to have to know, first of all, what you're going to do without to make room for it. And secondly, what exactly you think you're going to be contributing to it that is not contributed by the provinces. Whether more money is required or smarter regulation, for example, of these homes is another question. In Ontario's case, the inspectors apparently, stopped inspecting in-person inspections partway into the pandemic. That certainly didn't help.
Chantal.
But can we agree that beyond jurisdiction and federal, provincial, that the aging of the population has been a major policy issue that's been on the radar for a long, long time, and not based on some uncertain assumptions? And what we are seeing as a result of the pandemic, but that is not the main cause, is what happens when governments shovel forward structural demographic issues that have been looming.
Okay, I gotta leave it there. Thank you all. Glad you're all here. Althea, glad we got you back this week. Before we go, be sure to subscribe to At Issue, the podcast. We've always got extra content there. This week we'll talk about Meng Wanzhou's extradition, what it means for Canada-China relations. Look for it on any major podcast app and our website, cbcnews.ca/The National. For now, though, back to Adrian in Toronto.
Next on The National, the couple fighting a rare double cancer diagnosis. The story of Luke and Lindsay Belding right after this. We'd like to introduce you now to Luke and Lindsay Belding. They worked through a long-distance relationship to finally start their lives together in Winnipeg. But then came one devastating blow followed by another. We'll let Cameron McIntosh tell you about those and the part COVID-19 is playing.
A young couple just getting started, but now fighting the same rare blood cancer. The odds of it, say their doctors, unheard of.
My reaction was just complete shock. There's really no better way to describe it because it's just unexpected.
For Lindsay and Luke Belding, it started in 2018. 2 weeks after getting engaged, Luke was diagnosed. They married in the hospital as he was being treated. Earlier this month, he was in treatment again and about to come home.
Unfortunately, I wasn't getting to go home with Lindsay like we had planned.
Because she suddenly got sick. Doctors wanted to know what it was before sending Luke home. That's when Lindsay was diagnosed.
You get a little bit of denial in there. You're like, wait, but this is what Luke has, not what I have.
Acute lymphoblastic leukemia, those purple dots in this magnified blood smear, develops in white blood cells. It's rare and it's serious.
It was easier to handle my own diagnosis having been through it with Luke.
Now Lindsay is in treatment. Luke is home with a weakened immune system.
The last time I saw her would have been the day I was discharged. She was moved up to the ward and we had about 24 hours.
So far, my day-to-day has been pretty good. My side effects have been minimal from the chemo I've had so far.
We message each other all the time, checking up to see how she's doing with her treatments and how I'm doing at home.
Luke from New Brunswick, Lindsay from Massachusetts. The pandemic is keeping their families from traveling to help. They have friends. There's a GoFundMe to help cover costs. Lindsay says, as a couple, they're uniquely equipped to deal with it.
We have each other and we understand each other a lot more now than we did before.
As random and unfair as it all is. Cameron McIntosh, CBC News, Winnipeg.
And we wish them all the best. The moment is next. The Calgary high schoolers with a plan to make you smile. This Calgary teacher and his students wanted to bring some joy in the midst of the pandemic, so they set up a hotline. Call the number, hear a joke. So they called the hotline Joy for All, and it's caught the attention of many Canadians and one famous talk show host, and that is our moment.
What is a tornado's favorite game to play? Twister.
So the Joy for All project is a phone line that you can call at any time, at any hour of the day.
The goal being to create connection, especially across generations. So when you call our number, 1-877-JOY for all, you will hear a message.
I went to a wedding where 2 satellite dishes got married. The ceremony wasn't great,
but the reception was amazing.
We haven't really delved a lot into the knock-knock joke, so we feel like we probably have a few, more months worth of humor.
We hit 21,000 as of, I think, Monday, especially after the James Corden show.
The legendary comedian Billy Crystal is here right now. Billy, how are you?
Good. Hi, James.
It was the best thing ever.
The surprise from Billy Crystal was unbelievable. I think, I still haven't stopped vibrating from
How do you keep a bagel from getting away? You put locks on it.
Ba-dum-bum. So listen, good for you guys. They originally started this as to reach out to seniors. So many others are calling. Keep it up. That is a national for Thursday, May 28th. Good night.